Hello and welcome to Woman vs. Box.
It's called Man vs. Box.
Woman vs. Box. And
Man!
hello. Well, here today I'm going to show you the Lix Pen that I helped kickstart. And here's the box that it came with. Like, so it's actually a really nice box. I mean, my only problem with the campaign, I'm really glad that it showed up, but it took a very, very long time, and yes, things take a long time on Kickstarter, but I think it was the kind of the lack of communication that was really difficult, but ultimately it came out really nicely. The box comes with the charger, charging cable, as well as filaments that look like this. They have the multicolor ones too, which come with like red, blue, green, yellow. But the tubes are really nice for the filament. I'm really impressed, and it does take ABS, or the other one, I think it's called PLA. And here's the Lix Pen. So to work with it, you plug it in. Oops, it kind of, I think that's the thing I found that was kind of weird with it, because once you plug it in, sometimes it will have a tendency to unplug and you have to wait for it to warm up again. But here are the two buttons. It's got like variable speeds, and you have to, and it helps you indicate which type of filament you're working with. I usually use this fast speed, and I received this yesterday, and at first, I mean, there was a bit of a learning curve. I had a lot of little things, the little pieces that you start off with. I don't know if you could see that on a piece of paper. There was a whole pile of what I like to call little boogers, but they kind of just look like little worm squiggles, and within the hour I was able to make stuff like this. Let me see if you could see against the paper. You know, I just did a quick sketch of something flat on the piece of paper, and then I made a little mini stand for it. Not bad. It took me a while to get used to trying to make flat shapes, and I tried a lot of boxes, and it was kind of hard to keep them not wonky and sit flat, but ultimately I was able to get a little better at it, hopefully even more better with more practice. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's a dangling skull in a box. See? Boop. Let's see, here's a better picture of it. And here are two cockatiels I did. Wah! And that sits nicely, and this is actually my favorite one. It was kind of a reach for me, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway. And here's Mario, and he sits fairly nicely. You can see from side to side. Sits pretty flat, and he stands pretty well, I have to say. So let me go through over how to use this thing, and maybe some little tips. And again, I haven't used this for too long. So now that you can see 4 indicator lights, that means it's ready to go. And as it's heating up, you could start seeing a little bit of extrusion. Let's see if I can focus. But a little booger end will start coming out. And I don't really recommend it for you, but I've got slightly longer nails, so I can kind of safely pick that off. And I have to say, using this thing is very much like using a soldering iron mixed with a hot glue gun. It's that amount of care and safety that you have to be aware of. And let's see, and here's a filament there's a filament hole that you get to feed in. Here we go. Takes a little for it, there you go. And I found that if you're using something to work on that's kind of like parchment paper, I'm using a baking sheet under this for safety, and so I don't burn the table. But if you're using like regular letter, just homework paper, it should be fine. But it doesn't always like to grip immediately. And there's definitely more of a bonus when you drag instead of push anything. So for me to go from this direction to that direction will not be well, because it'll start lifting. So I'll even rotate the piece and start holding it flat. And I think that was the key to a lot of what I did. Just to hold on to the pieces instead of working just up in the air. So I want to form the base. This is kind of what I'm trying to make, a little mini pyramid. So I've got 3 of the 4 sides going. Now I'm going to finish the last one. And as you're closing, if you're trying to make boxes, you really have to hold them in place, because if you don't, you're going to get some wonky ass boxes. So it takes a couple seconds to cool, but it's pretty cool to the touch just almost immediately, which is great. So I'm dragging it towards the center, letting it cool down for a second, and then I'm going to pull quickly away. Because if you don't do that, this is kind of what happens. Oops, see? It won't stay, you kind of have to press it down. I would recommend using a toothpick, actually. That's probably a lot safer. But safety be damned on my end. See, if I just kind of slowly drag it away and not let it cool down, it's going to start to bend. And you don't want that because it hardens so quickly. And then you're going to have an impossible time trying to make that box. So I'm going to drag it up, let it cool, pull away. Boop. And this requires a lot of practice, but all these little things that I've been doing, it took me within the hour to learn to do it. And I'm hoping to make more sophisticated, or more complex rather, pieces in the near future. And I really am quite impressed with the amount of filament that's given. There's a lot of trial and error. I think when I expected it, I thought maybe it would just be like 2 actual pieces of filament, which can burn through about like 5 to 10 minutes maybe, depending on what you're doing and how much lag time you have between. One of them is, this one's a little wonky, but that happens. But it's a pretty safe structure, and it's, even though they look really thin, they're kind of annoying. The level of durability on this is kind of like those safety tags or that you find on clothes. They seem like they'd be easy to pull and break apart, but they're really not. They're pretty durable. I tried not having to get up to find scissors yesterday to try to cut off an extraneous piece, but ended up nearly breaking my tooth trying to do that. So I don't recommend that either. So thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, if you want to see more of these videos or other unboxing videos, subscribe to Man vs. Box. Thanks for tuning in.